Hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. There you go. So should I call you by your first name or Cajun Cacti Son or
You can call me Josh. I'm fine with that.
Josh? Nice to get a chance to talk to you again. I had the pleasure of meeting both you and your father at Flight Sim Expo. How you been?
I've been as busy as I can possibly be.
Congratulations on passing your written instrument in the real world.
Thank you so much. I've passed the written, and I'm just starting the check ride part of it. It's split into two parts: the oral exam and a practical flight exam. Gotten the oral taken care of, no problem, but now I have to do the flight. Of our 24
Practical.
airplanes, there's only two available, so not very easy to schedule that right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll. What are the options as far as the planes? What type of planes?
I can fly anything that is a single engine, 180 horsepower Cessna 172.
Okay, so what Skyhawks then? Okay, cool. So that's just a matter of getting the schedule going, but you're well on your way. And you're a user of Pilot Edge, right?
I am. I go in and out of it sometimes.
He was on our flight yesterday from Henderson down to John Wayne. Um, Great training program, great training platform, and another real world pilot to head down the career path that's using Pilot Edge on occasion. So that's great. Uh,
Absolutely.
so by the way, thank you for being a part of the John Fly stream, both you and your father. I do really appreciate your company.
It's fantastic content. I'm so happy that it's here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right, let's talk. I'm going to do another flight on FS Economy. Looks like we're going to be going in the Cessna 340. Um, but before we talk about departure briefings, or sorry, approach briefings, is there anyone in here that has a question for Josh? Anyone have a question in the chat? Let me know. Um, PE has really made me learn more after getting my PPL. Yeah, Iron Condor. Yeah, that's I hear that story more than once. Yeah. Josh, where are you guys from? You don't have to
Uh,
give your exact address, but
okay, my coordinates as of right now are just kidding. My dad and I were from Louisiana. That's where we started, but Hurricane Katrina did its thing and kicked us out. So now we're here in Arizona where we can't get flooded.
Arizona. They're in the warm weather. In fact, on more than one occasion, I've been tempted just to show up at their doorstep to go, crash on their floor and go golfing. Um, B2 asks, what is your favorite John Fly moment?
Ooh, my favorite John Fly moment. I'm gonna bring back. I'm gonna dig up that old memory of the loop bait departure
Yeah. Ooh, on Pilot Edge.
on Pilot Edge.
Yep, the loop 8. Now there's two instances. There's the one where I turned right and Marcus said, "Tell me you did not just turn right." And then there's the infamous one where I loop around in the 727 and stall over East LA. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes,
Yeah.
the one where you somehow spun out a 727.
Yeah, did a deep stall in the 727 right next to the beautiful taco stand. Another question for you. Can you reference a VOR and a radial from your location?
Stand by, as a matter
Scottsdale?
of fact. Let's see
Don't
here.
give them the radial or fudge it by 12 degrees. Let's
I
see
just want to
here.
include the magnetic variation and let you
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
that out.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, let's see here. Where are we? We're in Chandler somewhere. Oh crap, that's a little too specific. Here. That's key. I love that question.
Keith says, Josh, if you're in Arizona, you're going to be hard pressed to get IMC that doesn't kill you. That is true.
Absolutely. Okay. We're about on the let's see here, the 27 radio outbound from the Willie VOR. About Emmy,
Nice, nice. I'm not going
about
to give
that
that
general
much
location.
specific. Well, I will tell you that I am on the ILS I am on the ILS the ILS 34 left and ILS 34 right approach into Salt Lake City. I'm on the plate. That's where I
All
live.
right.
Yeah,
Sounds
baby.
good.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question. John Wilt B is in Maricopa. If you need a flying friend, and
Okay.
we've got Iron Condors golfing next week in Vegas. Can I come? Let's see here. You seen anything else? Hey, Jonesy's here. How much? Well, you don't have to answer this. How much is it costing you for your flight training?
Too much.
So much.
I think
I've heard various figures.
for private pilot, I think it was about $7,000 in. It was the most expensive pair of wings I've ever bought.
Hmm.
It's just going even more and more now with the instrument training and pretty soon the commercial and the multi-engine. The multi-engine is going to be a completely different rate because it's a different airplane. But it gets to be a lot. I haven't looked at the number yet. I'm scared.
Yeah, it's very expensive. If I ever do get around to getting my recreational sport license, since I can't qualify for the PPL right now medically, I'm planning on at least $6,000 for that. But Puck says, do you go to a Part 141 school?
Unfortunately, yes. Part 141 school, it's all curriculum based. All the lessons are planned out and what exactly we're going to cover for each lesson, and everything's based off of procedure and exactness. And I mean, it's just how it is. It's a University of North Dakota. That's just how they want to do their training. Um, I would have liked to somehow do a Part 9161 up in Flagstaff. That would have been a little. I think that would have been a little laid back. But this program is designed to just essentially and just like have it all laid out.
Hmm. Yeah, Puck Vanek goes to UND also. Let's see.
Uh,
What else we got going here? Multi's like 12K. Yeah. Memphis
that's for
Bellend,
sure.
how you doing? Have you caught a Puck Vanek stream yet?
Have not.
He's getting on Pilot Edge, so look for that too. All right. All right, let's talk approach briefings. Go ahead and give me your go-to, and then I might give you we might do a little tiny scenario, but go ahead.
Okay. One of the ones I'm very familiar with is we go down to airport called Casa Grande Municipal Airport. That's where we do a lot of our practice approaches. We just go south away from the Bravo, and it's Class Echo. We clear ourselves for landing. Essentially, it's a non-towered airport. But there's four approaches there. The one I've flown the most is the VOR 5 approach in Casa Grande.
What's the airport code?
Airport code is where to go? It's Charlie Golf Zulu, I believe.
Okay, so you do the VOR 5, okay.
VOR, yep, Charlie Golf Zulu at runway 5 VOR approach. Do you have it pulled up? Are you looking for it, or
No,
you just want me
no.
to go?
That's a good idea. I can do that. Let me pull that up
Just
here.
so you have an idea of what you're looking at. I just went to SkyVector and pulled it up from there.
Yeah, let me pull that up. 1 second. Okay, Casa Grande.
Casa Grande
Okay,
Municipal
VOR
Airport.
runway 5. Pulling up the chart. Okay,
So,
there we go.
all right. So we start our briefing quite a ways out. If we're just going to practice approaches, we kind of just take off, and as soon as we're established southbound, then we'll just get the weather and start there. But really, just kind of want to get it as soon as you possibly can.
It's
I
an
just know what.
AWAS.
That's probably my favorite part about it is how exactly they the sound, the AWAS. It's hilarious. Just 1 second. Okay. All right. Had to pull it back up. But essentially here at the top here, there's a few boxes here. It tells you the nav aid that you're going to be using. It's the Stanfield VOR, which is conveniently placed right in the path of the runway 5, which is perfect. It tells you the frequency, and if you are military operations, what channel to go to. I mean, my Skyhawks can't pick that up. We just use the VOR.
Mm-hmm.
Tells you the approach course, the outbound radial from the VOR to the runway. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to line up with the runway. It just is a guidance towards the runway. They're expecting you, hopefully, to break out and see it and line up yourself. But for the most part, it's very well aligned, and I like how they did that there. Tells you information about the runway. Top number there, that's the way that is available for landing and rolling out and stopping. So you have 5,200 feet to use, essentially. Right below it is the touchdown zone elevation. Now this is just a point on the runway. I believe it's the highest point on the field. That just tells you about where you're going to be touching down.
Okay.
And the airport elevation is right next to it, just to give you some general idea about where you're landing for altitude. Like if you are in high density altitudes, you need to know specifically. Just gives you some general information there. Below it is some notes about the approach, and this usually refers to if there's less visibility, if there's inoperative equipment, what to do about it. So it tells you for inoperative ALS, that's just runway alignment lighting, you increase your straight-in 5-category AMB visibility to 1 mile. You'll see it, the minimum section. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the category and minimums that they're referring to. So you just change those accordingly, and I'll get to those in just a little bit. Chapter visibility, what you got to do, and circling approach. It's not available at night. So if you're planning to circle for some reason and it's nighttime, this tells you that you can't do it. You have to come up with a different plan of action.
Quick question here. Keith Smith is asking you. He said that you mentioned that it doesn't have to be aligned with the runway. What's the max offset before it can't be called a VOR runway 5 anymore?
I believe it's 15 or 30. I don't know the specifics, but eventually once it's not aligned out of those limitations, they have to call it a circling landing, circle to land approach.
So yeah, so is it 15 or 30? We'll get the answer here. All right, cool. I didn't know that about the TDZE. That's new information for me. I like that.
So that's just really just for general reference, just knowing where you're going to be.
30 degrees. Okay, cool.
30 degrees. I knew it was one of those.
Yeah. All right.
Fantastic. And right here, MALSR, this is just the approach lighting system to be expected if you're flying this at night, coming in normal operations, I guess, everything's working. You'll expect to look at this kind of pattern generally, just the shape of the bars there and the dash. So the dash that's coming out of the bottom, that's a extended center line to help you line up with. And then it just gives you distance from the threshold.
MALSR is what?
Medium intensity alignment lighting system.
Okay.
Approach lighting system. And then the A5, that's just another name for the lighting system. It's just something to look for at night just to help you line up with the runway, essentially.
Okay.
Right next to that is the missed approach procedure. If you were to go miss, like I'm sure you've done 1,000 times, you climb to 2,200 feet, and then the climbing right-hand turn to 3,500, and then return to the Stanfield VOR, and then you just proceed to hold and figure out what to do from there.
Okay.
If you couldn't land because the weather was bad or whatnot, just come up with a new plan of action. It tells you there in text, and below where the give a profile view, there's another depiction of it just in simple graphics, just climb, turn, go to Stanfield. I'll get to that in a little bit later. Right below
Many times the missed approach VOR is not necessarily in line with the runway, I've noticed also, which can have an advantage because, yeah, like at a busy airfield, they're going to have maybe a holding point away from the approach path. But here,
Oh yeah.
it's right on the
Oh yeah, for
approach path.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, if it's a very busy airport, like this is not, I mean, there's a lot of student training going on, but for the most part, it's pretty open. So they'll just send you started.
Yeah.
There's no worry about it.
Yeah. B2 makes a good point. John goes missed. Have you ever watched his stream? I very rarely go missed, and I probably should increase my missed approach practice.
The sim, everything goes right in the sim.
Yeah. Put her down. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
But right below that, you have frequencies to use. Normally, you could probably just be handed off as you go, but if you're going to be planning on this and just getting an idea beforehand, you can get the weather, you can get the center frequency to be expected to be put on, and then the Unicom or CTAF frequency or tower frequency. And they're all pretty much in order of which ones you're just going to be using. So if you have a lot of places to put frequencies, you could just load these up and you're not sitting there waiting to hear from a controller to tell you what to tune in. You'll already have it set. So you can just flip over and you're talking to someone new. So it just lands you up there.
I find it
Here,
I find it interesting that sometimes, I mean, you'd think Unicom would be more standard. Here it's like 22.7 rather than 22.8. Find that interesting. Agent B7, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Snack Air, and see you in the future, I hope. Yeah, I've seen Unicom CTAF change, and it's weird how this one's just off by a decimal to the normal.
like Keith is saying right now in chat, there's like a small range of frequencies that they use for CTAF and Unicom just to avoid congestion, whatnot.
Yeah, so you're saying that because I think I've found situations where you have a rural airport out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not 228 or 7. So yeah,
Yeah, sure.
and that wouldn't account for the super crowded part of it. But anyway, interesting. All right.
And the big middle part here, this is everyone's favorite part because it's simple to look at, top-down view of what the procedure really is. Now, this is just a very simple, you go to a VOR and then you go out from the VOR and you should see a runway. Here it tells you there's a holding pattern here to start the approach. This is the procedure turn, essentially. If you're just coming from anywhere, like north, south, east, or west, and you want to start the approach on your own, you go to Stanfield VOR, and this says to hold at Stanfield VOR before you proceed inbound. And with our training environment, we use this to practice holding patterns and non-towered approach procedures. So we use that as our stack. There's like levels of altitude that planes go at, and they just start at the top, work their way down until it's their turn to go inbound. They just use that to hold in one spot. It's just part of the procedure. And then from that, it just says to go off on the 048 radial to the runway. It doesn't really give a distance, but it just says if you follow the 048 radial outbound, the runway.
So the question is from M9, arriving from the east, would you do procedure turn, holding procedure turn? What would the entry be used from the
Yeah,
east?
if you're coming from the due east, this procedure turn is mandatory. There's no route that feeds into it that says you do not have to do a procedure turn. There's some procedures that say if you're coming from this direction, you don't have to do it, but if you're coming from this direction, you do. So here, because there's no distinguishing factor that says no procedure turn, you have to do the procedure turn still. You would still have to enter the hold and then go inbound. Now, you only have to do one holding lap before you go inbound, but it's still required.
Keith Smith says there is a circumstance where you would not fly the hold in lieu. Is that lieu of procedure turn?
Holding in lieu of procedure turn.
Yeah. He can clarify.
Under what circumstances would you not? If you were cleared for a straight-in approach, if you were
coming from the west, or sorry, yeah, if you were coming from the west and you're doing a straight in, That's it. That's it.
Yep, if you're coming
Yeah, that's what he says.
coming from a straight in approach, yeah, that's for sure. You can do a straight in approach there, or if you're just with a controller and they say no procedure turn, then you could just do it that way as well.
Oh, there's 4 circumstances, he says.
There's several ones of them. Yeah, I think I had that question on my oral. I think there's an acronym for it. I completely lost it now in my memory, but it's
Yeah.
it's when not to do a procedure turn. If you're straight in, holding pattern, if you are arcing, procedure turn not available. If you're doing a timed approach, and there's one more. I forget the last one, but yeah, there's several circumstances where you're just where you don't have to do the procedure turn, but here it's pretty much straightforward.
Vectors to final, I guess, is one of the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're getting vectors to final, you're not necessarily doing the VOR runway 5 approach. Or can you still? I guess you are. Yeah, they're vectoring you for the approach. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're on radar contact, then they have you. Then you just follow the vectors that they give you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Let's say you're over 3460 feet elevation point on the 228 radial. Okay.
All right. What's the question?
Yeah, he's still typing. And they say clear direct TFD, cross at or above certain altitude, cleared approach. Do you do the procedure turn? Cleared direct TFD, cross at a certain altitude, cleared on the approach. Do you do the procedure turn?
Yes, you would. Still do the procedure turn.
Really?
I would still do the procedure turn.
Josh for the win. Ding, 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 ding. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's continue down.
Okay.
So we have it looks like it shows the runway length, etc. down here in the chart, and it also shows the category. So you got S5 and circling with the minimums. I'm assuming that these are here.
So this is a non-precision approach. This is your minimum descent altitude. So this is the altitude that you would descend down to and level off at until your visual descent point. That's that big bold V right under TFD 6.4.
Right
At
there,
that point, if you could see the runway environment, you could continue down to the approach.
Okay.
So right there, it says your minimum descent altitude. You also have visibility requirements, and you just use your best judgment here. So 3/4 mile and 1 mile for circling. For other category aircraft like C and D, this is not an approach that you can do, I believe. But, so this is just your basic descent profile. If there are step down fixes in between stand field VOR and the runway, and you have to meet a certain altitude, you would find it here, and you'll know what altitude you have to be at to be at that fix. It would just
Any idea why it's called Stanfield?
Stanfield. I am not entirely sure. No.
Oh, someone just said this is the Stanfield stack. I haven't heard of the Stanfield. Is that like a smokestack maybe? It would be bad to have a VOR near a smokestack.
No, the stack is referring to several aircraft holding over the same VOR.
Oh, okay.
Stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
Stanfield stack. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Stanfield,
all right. So we're in the plane, and we're let's say we're coming from the north. So we're on like a 180 heading. Let's say we're how far out are we? Let's give me an approach briefing.
Okay, so if we're coming from, let me get that pulled back up here. So we're coming from the north here. We're flying VFR. We're not on any airways. We'll be doing the VOR runway 5 approach into Casa Grande Municipal Airport. The nav aid that we will be utilizing is Stanfield VOR. The VOR frequency is 114.8. That will be tuned and identified in our nav1 box. Course is 048 degrees. That is tuned into our VOR equipment or CDI. Information about the runway: we have 5,200 feet of runway to use. According to our landing performance, we only need about 1,000 feet of runway for landing, so this runway is safe to land on. There's no notes about this approach that apply to us at this time. No lighting information to be needed. We're flying in the afternoon. Virtual, I'm going to skip that part. We're coming down here from the north. We're going to intercept. We're going to cross over the Stanfield VOR and enter a holding pattern. The holding pattern entry that we will use will probably be we'll use a teardrop entry. So we'll cross over the Stanfield VOR. We'll fly heading probably, I'd say about 198. We'll fly that for 1 minute and make a right-hand turn make a standard right-hand turn to re-intercept the course 048 inbound and continue holding as we need to. If we need to lose altitude, we'll lose altitude in this holding pattern. When we decide to go inbound from the Stanfield VOR, we'll fly outbound on the 048 degree radial to the runway. It's about 6.4 nautical miles looking down here. Well, in the holding pattern, the lowest that we will fly the holding pattern at is 3,500 feet. When we decide to descend from Stanfield going to the runway, we'll descend to an altitude of 1,960 feet and level off to our visual descent point, which is 6.4 miles from Stanfield VOR. If at that point we do not see the runway, we will level off 8 DME from Stanfield, in which we'll execute the missed approach. The missed approach procedure is a climb to 2,200 feet and then a climbing right-hand turn to 3,500 feet. We'll return to Stanfield VOR and hold. Any questions about the approach?
Any questions? I love it. I love it. I do have a question. What's for dinner? What's the best restaurant near Casa Grande?
You know, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, so we're doing a picnic. Yeah.
I guess.
No, that was really cool. You don't have to answer that, but that was really cool. I like that. I do have one question outside of the approach briefing that is related. But so you're obviously going to do this approach briefing on a check ride for your rating. Would you also do that comprehensive of an approach briefing, just flying IFR recreationally in the real world? Or is this would this be? Yeah, answer that question first, I guess.
I guess like inside the training environment, you know, it's kind of expect like, okay, we're going down to Stanfield. We already know the procedure. Kind of like remind myself, okay, what if I've never been here? I would still get as much information as I can about the approach, because
I like that.
When I would fly this approach, it would have to be in conditions where it's needed. If I can go VFR and just see the airport and fly myself the whole way down, I probably wouldn't shoot an approach. But if I need to shoot an approach because of the weather, I would be as thorough as I can, so I know as much as I possibly can.
I love it.
Yes.
It's like that question of, the 3 truck drivers interviewing the job. How close can you drive to the edge on the cliff? And the guy, who drives the furthest from it safely is the guy who wins. So I think you answered it during that whole discussion here. Keith was just saying, what's the V on the vertical profile again? You did touch on that. You did talk about that, but.
So the big bold B is your visual descent point. At that point, if you have the runway environment in sight, you can descend down to the runway. You no longer have to stay at your minimum descent altitude. You can go down.
Perfect. Excellent. Love it. Dude, that's awesome. Very, very cool. I like that. I need to go back and watch my own VOD and learn all of the different categories. Or, if you don't mind, I will give you 727 snacks if you can write up that approach briefing for me in a text format for this approach and send it to me on Discord.
I certainly will. I'll be more than happy to.
See, that is so awesome. And I'll
And
even and since your
I have,
dad is paying for your training essentially, he gets snacks also on that.
he's actually not paying as much, but it's okay. And I have Keith's approval in the chat, so I feel very happy.
Well, he's giving you parental support and introducing you to the
Yes,
crazy people of Twitch.
absolutely.
All right, gentlemen, that was awesome. So thank you so much, Josh. I do appreciate it. Maybe I can have you back again, and we can talk about other things that are in the training realm that I can learn from you for free or for
Certainly.
snacks. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good one.
Say hello. Say goodbye to your dad.
Bye.
All right, that was cool. I like that. I dig that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. New emote will work for snacks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's PE worthy, right? I love it. You just got accepted the snack air time to make some money. Don't forget to click the button fly for snack air. All right, time got out of hand for me. Time got out of hand, and I love it because it was a good reason for time to get out of hand. I do love it. I think I need to stock the sim pit down here with a refrigerator full of food and a cupboard full of food and a refrigerator of libation. Make sure you know the TAAs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Cajun Cacti. Wasn't that 100 times more interesting than an LNAV, VNAV, ILS into LAX? It actually was, yeah. I love that. There are so many great airports with so many great approaches, most of them non-towered. Yeah. I need my own coffee concierge. Yeah, doesn't Marcus have that? He does. I think so. Cajun Cacti Sun right there. Thank you guys. That's Josh is a man of information. Bicco with the bits. 500 bits coming in from the Bicco. The Bicco 780. Love that. I love the bits. Of course. It's awesome. All right. Well, the voting was for a C340 out of Pain. But I gotta eat some lunch. So I could go into the intermission screen for lunchtime, but I won't. I'll go ahead and send you over to a man who is very supportive of the John Fly stream. He gifted many subs recently. He gifted many subs, and he's just a nice, generous person, and he's also a lot of chat participation. So let's throw it over to him. I hope you guys have enjoyed today. I've had fun. I've had learning, and I'm gonna try to shake my bad habit of just saying 572 Delta X-ray on frequency. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Puck. Thank you, Josh. Thank you all for your participation today. There's a lot of good discussion, and we'll send it over to this gentleman. Bye. Love you.